So you're going through an M&A transaction and wondering, what are the top 5 mistakes that you're making that external auditors can get you at the end? Hi everyone, this is Kim Lay with A2Q2, your SOX strategist, catalyst, evangelist, and champion. I'm going to answer that question in this video now. So when you're going through an M&A transaction, there are lots of documents that you're going to need, and in addition, you're going to need some written evidence, written documentation of review. And unfortunately, having this brown bag on your table is not going to be enough evidence that you spent many hours doing your job. Instead, what you're going to have is going to be the inputs. Here's a list of the 16 items that are very typical, and here I'm going to show you an example of how someone did the evidence of review really well so that you can use it as a best practice and create your own. So here's an example of a sign-off sheet for the review of valuation reports. When you get the valuation report back from a third party, there are going to be a series of procedures that you're doing. You're looking to see the assumptions, like their financial model, the cost approach. You're going to look at your projections, whether what you gave the valuation firm is what they used. And here you can see this particular company has listed out 7 steps that they've done. It includes the initials, the date of when you did it, and then even comments. It's actually the comments that make it very helpful to see how detailed your review is. And in this case, an alternative to using a sign-off sheet is if you got your valuation report and you had comments, PDF comments along the way, because typically the PDF comments also capture who made the comment, the date and time they made the comment, and that is just equally valid in terms of evidence of your review. So here for review of your valuation, you're also looking at all the intangibles like your names, your developed technology, if it's developed or whatever that you're doing. You're looking at forecast, assumptions, intangibles, goodwill to ensure that they're included, they're consistent with the assumptions that you used internally. The valuation firm is doing that. You're reviewing the results and the data. Does it make sense of how they're doing it? Maybe there's a formula error. You're looking to make sure that the forecast for the acquired company, like their revenue growth rates, their gross margins, that was comparable to the companies, the peer companies that your valuation firm is using. And if there were any questions or follow-up items with the consulting firm, that you're keeping that evidence, that whether it's an email, if you had meeting conversations or anything with them, that you're keeping some written notes and evidence of that. So this is on a valuation report. Next is going to be the review of the purchase price allocation. And again, there's lots of steps in between here. This is just an example of how one company did it. They literally sat down and they wrote down opening balance sheet. Here's what I'm looking at. The date, and of course the initials and any comments that they have. So in the opening balance sheet, they got that and looked at items above 100,000. They looked at their opening balance sheet, if there are adjustments made to it. They looked at significant balances, their AR, the deferred revenue, those types of schedules. They investigated and cleared any comments by the reviewer. And you can also see here the price, the purchase price determination. What did they do for each of these categories? And here are the steps. Consulted with legal team. Transaction costs, were those considered? They verified the total cost. Agreed the amounts in the transaction to the journal entries. Investigated. Again, continuing to look at documenting each of this. And if you end up writing these comments in the Excel file as a comment section, or you've written as notes throughout different documents, that's perfectly acceptable. This is really a great way as a checklist to remind you of all the steps that you need. And then here you can also see the purchase price allocation analysis. Now that we've got the valuation, the purchase price, how did we do that allocation? And to the extent that you also have deferred revenue, if you're buying a company with revenue, what are the steps that you used in considering the deferred revenue and how you should be bringing that onto your balance sheet? So these are great examples of review steps and how you can set up something similar for your situation. Thank you so much, and we'll talk with you in the next video where I share the next 5 gotchas in an M&A transaction.